Obviously, Cobourg faces the same social and health challenges that as communities across Canada are facing. Poverty, mental health, addictions, homelessness, and other social issues need to be addressed as a separate social and health issue first, then a holistic social perspective, and then finally, and then only finally, in relation to community safety and law enforcement. Some of these challenges associated with the encampment right here in Cobourg come at that intersection of health, safety, environmental impacts, property rights, and community concerns. This month, I have provided a first report on the calls for service as it relates directly or indirectly to the encampment on King Street East and the surrounding neighborhoods. The calls for service in that particular area for October were 129 over 2 and a bit months, and already 21 in November. And these do not include the many, many informal interactions our team have with members throughout our community in that area. Obviously, these calls include police assistance with which Cobourg will be attending to assist fire, EMS, responding to disturbances or complaints, property checks, and emergencies calls for service. Police response continues to be working to listen to the community to address crime and safety concerns. We'll obviously continue to collaborate with the town of Cobourg and the county as we seek the appropriate resolution to this. We are committed to enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of our police service and addressing those issues and challenges that we currently face. By implementing a policing model that deploys the appropriate resources and personnel to respond to the different situations. Long-term strategies and solutions to prevent and reduce homelessness and encampments in Cobourg in collaboration with the board and its stakeholders. And last but definitely not least, engaging with our community members. We've redeployed through enhanced patrols, increased staffing, increased visibility, and opportunities for engagement to hear residents' experiences and clarify what, as a police service, we are able or not able to do. We are going to focus currently on warrants and bail compliance in that particular area. MHART and HART continue to be very active in following up with calls, connecting with community members, and bridging to the appropriate services, and we're going to hear about a couple of those later in this presentation. Currently, we have over 1,800 calls which we deem to be police assistance, which include assisting paramedics, fire, HARP, and MHART follow-up, which will well surpass last year's totals. Our mental health calls are already way above last year's, and our trespass to property occurrences already increased well above last year's. Our dynamic patrol initiative is part of our downtown action plan that we had to redeploy with the onset of the encampment. The ongoing initiative to increase police presence in local neighborhoods and near businesses. This short-term initiative allows for us to redeploy our officers on foot, and it occurs as necessary in various community areas. Officers conduct foot patrols, focuses on engagement, intervention, prevention, enforcement, and arrests, and community mobilization. Through communications received in October, we heard our community wanted a more visible police presence and engagement in the East End of Cobourg. We shifted our resources to increase patrols in the East End neighborhoods to provide reassurance, increase police presence, and increase the opportunity for engagement with all residents. And here are the comments and concerns. In the 2 weeks of the dynamic patrol, there were over 100 foot patrols conducted. There were 2 arrests. HARP connected with 4 residents regarding housing and transported 2 individuals on their request to connect with home services and family supports outside of Cobourg. MHART has an ongoing engagement with 5 residents in the East End area, hopefully moving them on to a more permanent solution. Recovered property includes bikes, generators, and tools as well. We continue to action the downtown action plan, but must be strategic in how we reallocate resources as appropriate to respond to the needs of our community. Specifically on our community canvas, our goal is to sustain that high visibility of police presence throughout the town of Cobourg in a variety of areas, including the mental health response, homelessness and addiction support, traffic enforcement, street crime, and initiatives aimed at addressing evolving social and our criminal trends. Sergeant Janice McDonald, currently part of the HARP team, takes the lead on navigating and addressing these social issues with an intersect on enforcement. On November 11th, uniformed officers, special constables, and auxiliaries conducted a community canvass in the East End neighborhoods with the purpose of hearing directly from our residents, compiling the results and the top concerns or questions so we can provide follow-up and clarifications. Also to bring internally and to take a look at what opportunities exist for us to be better. Members canvassed 116 homes and spoke with 90 individuals of the neighborhoods of Cottesmore Avenue, Meredith Avenue, Thomas Street, Jane Street, Brook Road North, Rolling Street, King Street East, between Cottesmore and Brook Road. Again, just to make sure we're speaking true points and not misinformation that tends to generate on social media, there was some suggestion that certain houses weren't knocked on. Every house in that area was knocked on, and a contact card was left with direct emails and phone numbers for Sergeant McDonald. And we know it's working because we've heard several calls and follow-up questions from people who we didn't get to speak to at that time. The top community concerns brought forward by the residents were feeling unsafe while walking in their neighborhood, concerns with people trespassing on their property, concerns with property being stolen from backyards and porches, concerns with people going through garbage and recycling, finding drug paraphernalia in the area, street lighting, and to the old traffic guy at heart, speeding traffic concerns. When asked what they would like to see done to address their concerns, the top responses were increased police presence through foot patrols, especially at night. Done. We began that immediately thereafter. Implementation of CCTV cameras in and around the neighborhoods, in progress. We're moving some of our mobile cameras right now, and our team is looking at actioning and placing them in the right places. My understanding is we're waiting for the final permit approvals from Lucy to install cameras in those areas. Ongoing. Speed and traffic enforcement in the area, especially around schools. I don't know if anybody here is complaining about getting a speeding ticket, so I'm not sure if they're there yet or not, but I'm sure I'll hear, but I'm sure our officers are attending that area when available. And better neighborhood lighting. The neighborhood lighting comes in two parts. Infrastructure Ontario used to have significant lighting on the Brookside property. That lighting has been turned off for whatever reason, and it could have been turned off a while ago. I have sent that message to Infrastructure Ontario and asked them to re-engage that lighting system. I'm not sure, we'll have to follow up to see whether that's done or not. But we've asked them to do that. Also, the street lights in that neighborhood, I've sent that message to the municipality. I've been assured by the municipality that they're going to prioritize the upgrading of the lights that currently in those to the more bright LED lights that the town is replacing as part of the overhaul of the lighting system throughout the town. So from what we heard, we actioned what we could action. We're going to increase police presence. There's bail compliance and warrant apprehensions that we're working towards. You'll see the report later in the agenda. I've already addressed. We're very akin to where we're spending our time, what we're doing with our time, and we're focusing on clearing effectively the results of calls for service in that area. Furthermore, this was announced, and again, I'll remind everybody that the Community Safety Advisory Committee is a part of our downtown action plan and in alignment with our strategic priorities. This committee has been struck. We are looking for interested residents to submit their applications by November 30th. The committee will meet at first on a quarterly basis to provide real-time information and informed advice to the Office of the Chief of Police on a variety of matters, help identify issues and concerns related to policing in local neighborhoods, and to act as ambassadors for the promotion of positive police and community relationships. Last week, we announced a partnership with the Cobourg Police Service and the Canadian Centre for Addiction through Community Bed Pilot. This pilot marks a significant turning point in our community's approach to addressing homelessness, mental health, and addiction issues. Each month, the Canadian Centre for Addictions donates one community bed at their Cobourg location to an individual ready for treatment, but experiencing barriers to care. The CCFA provides the community member with access to a 30-day drug treatment program. We can now work with our local partners to identify individuals who would not have the means or support to obtain the treatment they need and to ensure they are supported to meet the criteria prior to referrals to this agency. This is singular action. This is an incredible partnership born out of HARP and our Police Tech Accelerator. You should ask, why are we in the midst of addictions? Addictions is not a police issue. It's a health issue. But it has a ripple effect on individuals, families, and communities. As part of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan that is mandated by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, which is the ministry that police services and boards adhere to, A community safety well-being plan includes addressing issues that are not typical for police, but the intent is to redirect the issues that we deal with every day, every night, to the appropriate agencies. We continue to look for these solutions and innovations beyond the uniformed officers to address the underlying issues that impact the wellness of our community and our police officers. As police, we are the first point of engagement with vulnerable people who are at the intersection of these multiple societal issues. This pilot is a crime prevention and proactive work that aligns with our safety well-being plan and the board strategic plan. By combining the resources, experience, and dedication of our partners, we hope to reduce the impact of mental health and addiction on underserved members, foster a sense of belonging, and provide a roadmap for those who are ready for treatment but experiencing barriers to care. CRAR Cruiser, October CRAR Cruiser results, over $2,100 in donations, about 1,800 pounds of food collected to support the Cobourg Police Food Bank specifically this month. This is a broader community approach. For those who may not recall or don't know, our auxiliaries who aided you in entering today took this on in 2023 as their give back project, and they're all volunteers. Their give back project to the community. So this is a second year of this coming along, and it's a tremendous resource. We did hear yesterday that Food Share has seen a 100% increase in demand this year from the economic crisis that's facing the country, and the good work of our volunteers and our members is well appreciated. So hang on to your wallets. This Saturday, November 25th at Walmart, Giant Tiger, Dollarama, right here in Cobourg to support the Northumberland Fair Share Food Bank and the Giving Tree to help everyone have a well-fed and joyous holiday season this year. Last year's holiday CRAR Cruiser collected 3,700 pounds of food, $3,700 to support the Fair Share, and 231 toys to the Giving Tree. We hope to increase and surpass those totals this year. This will be the 11th CRAR Cruiser led by our team this year. Some major crime and investigation reporting. At any time of the year, there are a number of criminal investigations underway that require the gathering of evidence, interviewing suspects, witnesses, executing search warrants, and analyzing data. Investigations are lengthy and meticulous. I say jokingly, it's not Law and Order. We don't solve a homicide in 50 minutes with commercials. These investigations require patience, persistence, and attention to detail. Relies on scenes of crimes officers, uniform officers, forensic identification officers, special constable support, partnering with police services, prosecutors to ensure we put the best case forward for a successful outcome. A few of the ongoing investigations that are still working with us: the 2022 homicide investigation of Mr. Pine. The OPP continues to actively investigate this occurrence, attempting to identify and locate those responsible. One of our detectives remains heavily involved in this investigation as the file manager and is anticipated to be dedicated to this investigation on a full-time basis when the investigation takes the next step. Attempt homicide on August 16th, 2023, a shooting occurred at the encampment on the beach. Through a diligent investigation, our local team, who committed hours and hours and hours at the outset of this, interviewed in excess of 30 witnesses, authored 15 warrants and production orders, liaised with numerous outside police agencies. They're able to quickly identify 3 individuals responsible. 2 have since been arrested, while the 3rd remains outstanding, wanted on a Canada-wide warrant for attempted murder and a number of firearms-related offenses. The provincial rope unit constantly help us assist this person, locate this person wherever they may be across Canada. 5 criminal code search warrants have been executed in relation to this incident. In excess of 10 production orders have been authorized, and information gleaned from the data has further bolstered the evidence necessary for this investigation. This investigation remains ongoing. I can't put into context the amount of hours spent by the detectives, countless hours in writing these warrants. Our Safe Properties Initiative. As many people know, we have received several complaints, including drug trafficking, thefts, property crime, and regular disturbances at about 5 residences in the town. Several tiers of the Cobourg Police Service were engaged in supporting municipal partners in addressing the property safety concerns into 2 neighborhoods in Cobourg. We worked in conjunction with community partners, including municipal law enforcement, Cobourg Fire, Northumberland County Social Services, and the health unit. Since 2 of these properties have been closed for life safety issues under the fire electrical health authorities. Again, this is where the police do not lead, but we partner in moving the broader community safety issue forward. And, we're on the same slide. And in relation to drugs, I've been asked, what's our service doing about drugs? Our officers continue to put their energy towards important investigations, collaborating with neighboring services, conducting proactive patrols to get illegal drugs off the street of Cobourg. Our drug enforcement office efforts continue to focus on serious cases raising public safety concerns. To date, 2023, the members of the Cobourg Police Service have seized over $300,000 in illegal drugs and cash obtained by crime. That is 3 times what we did last year. I put this point, this is usually left for an annual report, to address the issues of misinformation that continue to populate in this community that our officers do not do this work. 3 times the amount of work has been done. Just want to make sure I'm done. And I'm done, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Thank you very much. Very thorough report, Chief. Questions for the Chief? Comments? Member Gray.
Through you, Chair, to the Chief. To the Chair's point, excellent presentation. Thank you for the thorough information. I just have a couple questions. You're saying that mental health calls have been up. What constitute a mental health call? Is it self-initiated? Is it, what would the parameters be? They see somebody kind of yelling in the streets. What is really a mental health call?
A mental health call is generally when the dispatch are aware that the reason for the police 911 call is that somebody is under a mental health crisis. Somebody screaming in the streets is more often a suspicious person, a trespassing. A mental health call traditionally is an attempt suicide, a suicide attempt. 2 different, I know I'm playing with words, but an attempt suicide and a suicide attempt are 2 different things. People calling and saying they're concerned on the well-being of.
Okay.
It can also be in an aged community. It can also be people with onset dementia, and we've seen a few of those recently where we're dealing with seniors in our community who are struggling with dementia and housing.
Okay.
So a mental health call is specific that our officers know when they're going to 123 Anya Street. It's for the purpose of dealing with somebody in a mental health crisis.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Anything further for the Chief? Member Bureau.
Yes, thank you. Excellent presentation. If I could build up of Member Graham's question. People that do in downtown are boisterous, scream. To me, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but they do seem to be in crisis of some sort. What team or what do people do when they see that? What are they supposed to do? Is it call the police, the MHERT team, the HERT team? How do we deal with that? And then what happens from that stage if the police do come to the next stage?
Sure. So a big question, and I'm going to probably draw the ire of some. So when people are acting out, and that's how we call that, our officers do attend and they make an assessment. They make an assessment, is the person at risk to harm themselves or others? If the answer is yes to either of them, there might be a mental health act apprehension where we would take somebody to the hospital where they would be seen by the doctor to determine whether or not a form is applicable, so that person would be formed in our jurisdiction in Northumberland Hills Hospital. If they were subject to a Form 1, they'd be transferred to Peterborough for a 3-day assessment. That is the end game. What happens in the interim, if somebody is acting out and they're apparently intoxicated because of alcohol, we try to get that person home the best circumstances we can, maybe to a medical facility if their intoxication level is such that they require medical attention, or they're brought to cells under the Liquor License Act. Somebody impaired by drugs who's acting out under the influence of a drug and is no harm to themselves and acting oddly but not smashing things or anything like that, just yelling and screaming. More often than not, we do our best to manage the same way, get you somewhere, get you back with friends, move you home, but there is no arrest authority. Drugs, none. Alcohol, yes. Just making the fact clear for those who want to discuss this with me after the fact. or not with me, but discussed it on social media after the fact. So very clearly, call the police. Don't worry about calling MHART. They don't have a separate number. They call us, our officers come, and our officers always deal with the people. Oftentimes, these people move along to their end point and destination before our officers get there. But that is the opportunity when we start dealing with the same people. So Paul VandeGraaf's acting out on the street many times. MHART come in and the next day, they pick up those calls in the morning. HART pick up those calls in the morning, and they start to try to find out Paul and say, where is he? What resources does he need? Where can we get him? That's where that community bed really matters, because right now access to treatment beds is correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy, 6-month wait? About a 6-month wait. So that opportunity to say, now I'm ready, and waiting 6 months, lots can happen in those 6 months. Having an access to this bed here in Cobourg, I know it's only one bed, but that's one more than we had last month. That's the opportunity where HART, MHART, and our team follow up the next day. So although I hear the cops showed up, they talked to the guy, they drove away, you have to understand the police have what we can do, we do, and we also have a lot of follow-up that happens, and that's why MHART and HART are constantly reviewing files and picking up these cases day after day after day.
Member Graham.
Through your chair to the chief, just to follow up. Obviously, this has come to, I think, most of our attention with people that are in the streets, acting out, screaming, yelling. In particular, in certain businesses, I've heard it from some of my people I know that own businesses downtown. Wouldn't one be said, though, that they could be arrested for causing a disturbance, especially if they're in the same area, yelling constantly, scaring people? That was what was brought to my attention about causing the disturbance in that area and being arrested for that.
Sure. Cause disturbance is a criminal offense for those in the audience who don't know it. It's a summary conviction offense. It's that delineation is very important. It really restricts what our officers can do. So for cause disturbance by screaming, shouting, complaining, drunkenness, we need to have a signed statement from a complainant. That is the one circumstance where a police officer in Ontario or Canada cannot be the complainant for cause disturbance by screaming and shouting. So we need a person to give us a signed statement to act on that. In order for us to arrest on cause disturbance, we have to find the person fined committing. That's big fancy legal jargon for it. The person has to be actively yelling and screaming at the time our officers arrive. The minute the person stops yelling and screaming, that person is to be released at the least intrusive manner. In other words, an appearance notice for a future date in court down the road. We do not print through the Identification of Criminals Act anybody for a summary conviction offense. And I can suggest to you the local courts would be up in arms if we flooded the courts with cause disturbance by shouting offenses for people under influence of a drug and or just mad. I came from a community which was a small community, but we were really lucky to have 3 bars within 500 meters of each other in Belleville, and that was, we would have all these drunken college kids hit the North Front and Bell Boulevard every Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night to the tune of about 3,000 of them, and cause disturbance was not an acceptable charge. So I would infer case law would suggest it's not the same here. Again, our officers use every tool in their toolbox, and if it was a mischief charge, which is a dual or a hybrid offense, they do that. The cause disturbance, again, Member Graham, I hear you. I've come into work many mornings. These gentlemen to my left can attest.
Yeah.
Yelling and screaming, just arrest these guys. We've got to do something about this. But again, at the end of the day, the frustration is felt by all.
Sure. Thank you.
Member Bureau.
Yes, thank you. I'm building again off of Member Graham.
Is this a game?
My question is the catch and release. I know that it's, I know you specifically don't set out the rules on when somebody gets arrested, what do they get detained for? But my question is if somebody was doing something illegal in the neighborhood somewhere, say in the East End or wherever, even though they get charged, are you allowed to add on like a trespass notice so that they're not allowed back there, even though they do get released? Because I've read the press releases, there's some been assaults that has happened and then they've been released. So do they get trespassed from that area as well? Or is it just charged and released?
You know what? Let's just have it. Lisa's really cringing right now. Within the last 10 days, we arrested a male. This male has caused 119 calls for service for the Cobourg Police Service. In a particular area, rest easy, it's not the east part of Cobourg for a change, it's further north. Completely besieged a neighborhood for his misconduct, including urination, defecation, small kicking over flower pots, aggressive panhandling, threats, up to and including an assault of a youth. Person was brought before the courts. The person was released, ROR. What that means was released with no conditions. My phone was lit up with this community that I met in the summer in their beautiful courtyard and sat there and listened to them, and I assured them we would do better. We did do better, but we were let down. That person was arrested again within 36 hours and is currently in bail process. Don't know where it sits. So yes, you as a private citizen could trespass Paul VandeGraaf from your house. In addition to, Walmart does it all the time. If there's a theft at a Walmart, they always tack on their trespass order. I'm frustrated about this. I get it. We do not want to inundate jails in Canada with small, meaning less in the scope of crime. I get it. But when you have repeat offenders who continually repeat and wreak havoc on a community, enough's enough. Something needs to be done. It's not my problem that the pre-custody sentence issue and the readiness and speediness to court. The Toronto Star articles over the last couple of days about the Toronto courts unable to move the matters through court. Not my problem. My problem is law enforcement. I don't ever worry about it. If I lay a charge against somebody, and I've said to my people, I've never arrested an innocent person, but not everybody I've charged has been convicted for a variety of reasons in case law and everything else that exists. So, I get that that's a different system than our system and we need to be partners and we try to partner. But this issue of bail compliance is an issue. We've had 9 police officers murdered. Bail violations were a trigger point for this. Commissioner Creek was fantastic in driving this point home after Gregor Petrala's last murder around violent crime. And I will say, the Ministry of Attorney General has heard and they are doing a far better job around violent crime. But it is not any better when it speaks to, again, I'll repeat the number, 119 incidents. Not 2, not 3, 119. Again, I'm on the soapbox, but I appreciate the comment.
Anything further for the chief? Once again, thanks for a very thorough report, chief.